As a private chef, I'm showing you how to turn the most hated item into a dish that my clients go crazy for. So I'm gonna be making a tuna melt, but it'll be on the fancier side, right? So we'll do miso honey tuna, and then we're gonna actually fry the bread using milk bread so that it's crispier and not a sloppy sandwich. So first, I'm gonna start with the tuna filling. So we're gonna start with our canned tuna. I don't know why most people hate canned tuna, because you can turn this into a really nice, fancy dish. I use tuna in water, not olive oil, because I like to add fat like myself so that I can control how much fat I can add to the filling, right? So I always use the water, but first drain it. That's really important. I'm gonna get my fork. The reason why we drain it is because like we don't want like a really sloppy tuna filling, because we're gonna fill these milk breads with this filling, right? So it can't be soggy, it has to be crispy. Okay, so I have my canned tuna here. It smells delicious. So we're gonna go hit this with mayo, full fat mayo. The reason why I'm adding mayo is because obviously it's fat and tuna is really lean. So let's say if I was working with like a fish like salmon, I would go with something less fatty, because salmon is more fattier, like much fattier than tuna. But we want to add more fat to this lean tuna so that there's more of a balance. But we also don't want to add too much. Like imagine like the Subway tuna sandwiches. It's more mayo than actual tuna. Like we don't want that, right? We just want a little bit of fat so that it can bind everything together. And then for some sweetness, I'm doing honey. The reason why I'm adding a little bit of sweetness is because I think tuna is too intense. It's fish. I feel like fish in general, like they're intense, like compared to like, let's say chicken breast, right? Especially the smell. That's why most people don't really enjoy fish. But when you're adding something sweet, it kind of gets rid of that intense flavor. So that's why I always go for like either maple syrup, sugar, honey, agave syrup, so that it cuts through the intensity. And then for some saltiness, I'm gonna do 2 different kinds of salt. This time I wanted to add a little bit of miso as well. And miso is a different kind of salt because they both go through, like miso and soy sauce, they both go through a different kind of process. And the process that I'm talking about is fermentation. So miso is made from beans, but it's fermented beans. So when you add an ingredient that has gone through some sort of process, like either fermentation or let's say charring or like barbecuing or like pickling, it's gonna be more layered and it's gonna taste more, like it's gonna have more depth in your dish. So that's why I don't choose just table salt. I use different kinds of salt that has already gone through this process. I'm gonna do a little bit of soy sauce. We're not gonna do too much because miso is incredibly salty. Might be even saltier than soy sauce. So we're not gonna do too much of the soy. And before I add the rest of the ingredients, I just wanna give it a little taste test. Ooh, I can taste the miso, it's amazing. So I tasted it before I added all the acid. And the reason why I'm adding acid is because it lightens the dish. It cuts through the intensity. So it won't be too heavy. But once you add the acid with all the salt and the sugar, it's gonna be lighter. So that's why I added just a little bit, not too much though. Because if you add too much, it's gonna be too overpowering and we don't want that. I added a little bit of pickle juice. That's why it's like really green, almost like a neon green. The reason why I did that is because I feel like it has more of that funky flavor because pickle's been sitting inside this liquid, so it's like a brine instead of just vinegar. So it has that like that funky, different kind of taste compared to a vinegar. But you can obviously do a little bit of vinegar as well, and that could work, you know. And then I'm gonna do lime zest. Let me get my zester. There's my zester. So we're gonna do lime zest and lime juice. Why am I doing zest and juice? Because they both have different flavor profiles. The juice is gonna add acid, and then the zest is gonna be more floral and more fragrant. So imagine if we're like spraying like a perfume. It's just like that zest is gonna give that kind of fragrant taste to the tuna. So we're not gonna do too much though, because again, we're not trying to like make it overpowering. We're like adding enough ingredients inside so that it's not like acid is not the main ingredient, or the sugar is not the main ingredient, you know? It's all balanced. The main purpose of this dish is to bring down the intensity of the tuna so that it doesn't taste like fishy. So we have the sugar, the salt, the acid, and now we need heat. Just a little bit. Okay, so I have two different versions of spice that I can add. This is like an oil, and this is a spice. And I think I'm actually gonna go with spice because the tuna is already like watery. And if we add more oil, it's gonna be even like, not sloppy, but waterier. So if we add like a dry spice, it's not gonna add too much liquid to it. And I'm not adding too much heat because I'm gonna, after we're done with this, I'm gonna be making a spicy jalapeno sauce. So I don't want it to be like too spicy. So let's give this a quick little taste. Oh wow, this is actually good. I don't know why it tastes like ceviche. I think it's the lime, but like you could never imagine that tuna could taste like this. Oh my God. So good. Okay, so I have my milk bread right here. Now we can start filling this. I'm just going to get rid of the crusts. Are these called crusts? Are these called? Yeah. The crusts. I want the toast to look even and evenly fried. And these are like, these ends are crispier and like drier. And I don't really want that. So I just cut it in half, and we're only gonna add cheddar cheese inside just to have that like nostalgic taste, that tuna melt taste. I have a mild cheddar cheese. This is gonna go so well with tuna because it's almost like, I don't know how to explain it, the flavor of cheddar, but like it's almost like bitter-ish, sharp, right? So we're just gonna place it on top. And I'm actually gonna put a little bit of tuna on top of the cheese as well, just to like seal it. So I'm gonna go ahead and slowly drop these into the oil, but let's see if the oil is ready first. So the oil could be hotter, so I'm just gonna like set these aside, and then we're gonna work on our creamy jalapeno sauce. The purpose of this sauce is to add some heat, but also keep the whole dish as bright as possible and as light as possible, because our tuna filling, it's not heavy, but it's like a little intense because it's miso honey, right? They're both really like intense kind of flavors. So with this sauce, I want to like kind of lighten up the dish a little bit. So what I have right here is some parsley, cilantro, jalapeno, and a little bit of like fresh mint. I love working with fresh herbs. So we're gonna do lime zest as well. All the floral fresh taste. Also gonna do the juice. So we have, again, the herbs, the sugar, a little bit of pickling juice for some acid, and I'm gonna do mayo for some fat. That mayo is gonna bring everything together. It's gonna be creamy and silky smooth. So let's split this up. Oh wow, it is really spicy. I just want this to look a little smoother, so I'm just gonna like use mesh sieve to like sieve all the extra pieces. So I'm gonna let this sit in the fridge for a little bit just for it to like thicken. And while this is like cooling down, we're gonna fry the toasties. Okay, so I just got done frying. Again, do not fry more than a minute or two, maybe like a minute, 2 minutes total tops, because the filling is already cooked. We just want this to be like really crispy, and right now, this is so good. So we're gonna get our plate. I'm just gonna set this aside, and then we're gonna just start plating. It's that easy. Let me grab my sauce. And then we're basically going to pour this green sauce on the bottom. Here. To go on top. The reason why I'm like using these carrots is because I want a little more depth in my plate. Oh, I fucked it up. We're done with our tuna toasty. This is obviously one of the simpler dishes that I make, especially let's say your clients come in the house and they're like, hey, I need a lunch in like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and then you gotta like whip up something real quick. This is what you can give them, right? Because it took me like 20, 30 minutes max. With the video that we're shooting, usually it would take me like 10 minutes max. So this is super easy, super impressive for your clients. We have the crispy bread, the melted tuna inside, and the herby and spicy cream on the bottom. Everything works together perfectly. So if you like this video, I have a lot more like it. You should check this one out right now.